Greetings, friends, and welcome back to the 3-Minute Horror Show. My name is Ben, your host, and I love horror movies. In fact, I watch the bad movies so that you don't have to. You're welcome. Today I'll be reviewing the movie Axe Giant, The Wrath of Paul Bunyan from 2013. Do you remember that character Paul Bunyan from American folklore? The big lumberjack with a blue ox named Babe? Yep, this movie's about him, except this time he's an angry giant trying to kill teenagers.
Wow.
This movie was directed by Gary Jones. He's been doing horror for a while, and he's the guy that directed Mosquito back in 1994. That movie was a lot of fun.
You right.
Axe Giant, The Wrath of Paul Bunyan is streaming here in Canada on Tubi. Our story starts in 1894 at a logging camp somewhere in the USA where there are forests. A group of workers are getting ready for dinner, and the foreman, Dan Haggerty, TV's Grizzly Adams, goes off to take a dump, for real.
It's the third time today for him.
When he comes back, everyone at the camp has been axed up by a monstrous-looking guy with an axe. He throws Grizzly Adams into a huge timber saw, and that's that. Now we're in the present. Paul Bunyan is one of those early American folklore hero guys, like John Henry, Johnny Appleseed, Davy Crockett, or Norm from Cheers. Like many of the characters that I just mentioned, Paul Bunyan's stories are mainly centered around how much work this guy could do. Weird. Anyways, Paul Bunyan wandered around the Pacific Northwest with his giant axe and his blue ox named Babe cutting down trees. The tales about him were tall, and so was he, being described as over 8 feet tall and weighing in at 300 pounds.
Damn, son.
He's been represented by appropriately large statues all over the United States. Some notable ones include 31-foot Bunyan statues in Portland, Oregon and Bangor, Maine, a monster 49-foot lumberjack in Klamath, California, and a 40-foot Paul in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. But the Paul Bunyan in this movie doesn't bear any resemblance to these guys.
Nope.
A group of young offenders are taken to a camp that happens to be run in the same woods that the Axe Monster still lives in, run by a real drill sergeant named Hoke. On their way to the camp, they are observed by a crazy guy in the woods, played by Joe Estevez. That's Martin Sheen's younger brother. None of the campers are all that bad, but Hoke treats them like they're the scum of the earth, and that seems to be his only personality trait, being a dick. The kids are led on a run through the woods by Hoke, and along the way they're allowed to stop to eat lunch. One kid goes off on his own and finds a boneyard of some sorts, and he breaks the horn off of a bovine-looking skull that he finds there. Dude stows it in his backpack, and the crew go back on their way. With over 300 screen credits at the time of recording this video, the younger brother of Martin Sheen, Joe Estevez, is coming for the Eric Roberts crown.
Duh.
After serving in the Navy in his early adulthood, Joe took up acting. And like his older brother, he did not use the Estevez family name when he started his career. He used his mother's maiden name Phelan instead. Estevez linked up with comedians Tim Heidecker and Greg Turkington for their incredibly popular internet series On Cinema at the Cinema, playing a fictionalized version of himself. These collaborations started in 2013 and continue to this day. Joe Estevez continues to be a staple in B and indie movie casts, and he brings the laughs every single time. A few minutes later, a giant arrives at the boneyard, which we can only assume is his hangout spot, and he realizes his prized cow skull is now missing a horn. He is pissed. When that giant catches up with the campers, he immediately splits one of the young ladies directly in half with his enormous axe. This was so funny that I had to pause the movie to laugh for a while, and it was a good belly laugh. It was great. We get a quick flash over to crazy old Joe Estevez at his cabin, and he's running around in circles because he's heard the roars. He knows what's up. That's right, someone has stolen a dirty old horn from Paul Bunyan. Did I mention that the giant is legendary lumberjack Paul Bunyan? And now they will feel his wrath. The dirty old horn belonged to Babe the blue ox, Bunyan's companion, and it is very poorly animated. We learn through Estevez that the reason why the loggers were killed at the beginning of the movie was that they butchered and ate Babe, thus becoming the first group of normies to invoke the deadly wrath of Paul Bunyan the Axe Monster. Well, holy crap.
Boom!
This took me a long time to watch. I had to stop it after nearly every kill because I couldn't stop laughing. They looked so funny. And if the kills don't have you on the floor, Joe Estevez's delivery of the Bunyan backstory exposition definitely will.
Holy shit.
This movie is supremely, hilariously awful, and it is recommended viewing. I rate Axe Giant, The Wrath of Paul Bunyan an 8 out of 10. As always, a link to my Letterboxd appears in the video's description. Please leave me a like, comment, and subscribe as it really does boost my engagement, helps my channel grow. Smell you later, nerds!
By the time he was 5 years old, he was 6 foot tall, still growing.